3, 2, 1.
And we're back. How's it going, everybody? This week, we got a very special episode we've been working on for a couple of weeks now. So we did GPop Culture Fair here in Grand Prairie, May 11th and 12th. So we did some interviews with some local talent. We did Mike Moen, Dustin Archibald, and we also did one with Blaine Burke, the owner, operator, creator of GPop Culture Fair.
So yeah, this is to conclude it all up. We put it all together. So it's a couple weeks worth of work and interviews here. So hope you all enjoy it. And cheers, folks.
Cheers, everybody. Thank you for listening again. All right, everybody, welcome to GPop. We are, and the year was 1985. We are a podcast local to Grand Prairie. We are here today with Dustin Archibald. We're going to talk about his fourth and upcoming book and the three originals, the Ashra Anderson saga. So take it away. It's just introduce yourself a little bit, Dustin. Let everybody know what you're up to and where you're from.
Well, my name's Dustin Archibald. I'm from Grand Prairie. Actually, originally I grew up outside of Hythe, and then I moved to Grand Prairie, and then down to Calgary, and then back up to Grand Prairie, and then all over the place. So that is the short version of a very long, moving story. But I started writing probably when I was around 14 or so. And since then I've been doing small projects. I got into comic book writing for a while. I have a few graphic novels and comic books under my belt. And then I went and I started writing novels, full novels, and taking off from there. So the actual Ash Anderson saga was designed originally to be a comic book, but then I came along and said, you know what, it was hard for the collaboration side of things, so I went and decided to write the novel itself, which was its own kind of a big challenge.
So you started writing at 14, as you said. What was it that kind of initially created that spark for writing, and what were your major influences?
Well, mostly it comes from reading a lot when I was a kid, and then from there I had one, it was language arts, so a language arts teacher, and she put it through writing assignments, and so I got to start writing, and then she really encouraged me to pursue writing, you know, almost as a profession. And it's, I don't know if you know, but it's hard to actually make money writing.
No way. Are you serious?
It's
almost like a musician or something.
It's kind of those
almost
strange
like podcasting.
things. So, you know, I went to college and university for computing science, and then from there I was able to kind of move into a bit more writing as a more steady thing. Yeah.
So, speaking about going to school, so you went to school for computer technology?
Yeah, computer science.
Computer science, sorry.
Yep.
On that note, I know your book kind of gets into some technology-based stuff and kind of highlights that kind of stuff. How do you think that your job / your schooling and stuff influenced, you know, your story writing and, you know, especially these books, like the impact of technology and that kind of thing?
So for me, technology is one of the fundamental components of my life. I'm very heavily invested in technology and how it's progressing and how it affects us. For the Ash Anderson series, the entire city that's based on is technologically advanced. And it's based on my observations of where I think technology is going to go in the near future. And about 90% of the time, I'm right about where it's going. And so a lot of the content, a lot of the technology that I put into the book comes from my experience being a technologist.
So, based on that, so in terms of process, do you sit in a dark room and write, or do you do it?
Do you use technology to help create such a thing?
So, since all the technology that I'm familiar with is all inside my head, I don't necessarily need to sit in a dark room to do this. It's always just circling around in my head, in my brain, thinking, well, how can that be used? How will it be used in the future? And my process for that is I Usually it's at the end of the day. Actually, when I was writing the first Ash Anderson book, I would get up at about 5 o'clock in the morning. I would write for 2 hours, and then I would go to work. But things have changed since then, so now I do my writing at the end of the day. And I just sit down and I just put whatever comes into my brain onto the page. And a lot of that comes through with the technology basis for what I'm working with, so that I can make sure that it's not, far future technology. It is always stuff that I can see happening in 5-10 years down the road, and that I can see coming down right away. So in the first book, there was OLED, so that's organic light emitting diode technology, and that stuff's come to pass now. There's robots that clean your house. That's in the book now, right? So I keep on trying to be just ahead of the curve, not so much that it's unbelievable, but just enough so we can kind of get saying, yeah, I think this is where we're going.
So you're very accepting of technology, and you're happy to participate in the advancement of technology in every different aspect, or are you kind of reluctant to have technology kind of take over some aspects of your life?
Yeah, I'm kind of reluctant to have the machines take over the world. I prefer to have the world the way it is.
You're not a Skynet type of gentleman?
No, well, not really. But, so for example, home automation. I don't really have that in my house. Lots of people have Amazon Alexa, Google Home, whatever else, but I don't have that because I know the dangers that it can have with it listening and everything that you're doing. But that being said, I still have a cell phone. Right.
Which is listening to you.
Which is listening to you anyways, right? So it's kind of just making sure I know.
I know what you mean, though. It's a different thing.
I know which data is coming in and out of my phone, and I know what I can say, what's going to go, what's not going to go. But with these other home automation systems, you really don't know. One of the funny things that came out with Amazon Alexa when it first was put into people's homes, an Amazon Alexa commercial came on, and it said, "Hey Alexa, order me this thing." And so thousands of people's Amazon Alexa heard this and ordered that product.
I would have never thought of it.
And then it got shipped to them, and thousands of people are like, "I didn't order this." Well, it turns out that it was their commercial telling them to order that. So what I try to do is I try to not have that in my life. But at the same token, I recognize that you can't get away from technology now. It is everywhere. It's part of our lifestyle. So we want to make sure that we use it as responsibly as we can.
Go ahead. I lost my question now, but so what? I guess what I was trying to get at was, you said you started writing at 14. So like at 14, like what kind of stuff were you reading at 14, and kind of, what? I wouldn't want to say inspired, because it's not really the right word, but like what were you reading at that point, and what was getting you kind of geared up to kind of approach writing the way you do and stuff like that?
Well, probably the biggest influence at that time was Stephen King. So I was reading It, and I was reading like The Stand, and that kind of thing, which is kind of strange for that level because it's not really intended for for 14-year-olds. But at the time, there was no teen literature, right? It was like Little House on the Prairie, or it was little kids' books or adult books. So there was no teen books.
Yeah,
So
you probably advanced maybe you matured a little earlier than most in the writing process.
yeah. So that was what my brothers had these books, and so I'm like, oh, fine, I'll just sit down and I'll read this book. So I remember one time we had this in grade 7 or 8. We were supposed to do a book report, and part of this report was you have to read 1,000 pages. You read 1,000 pages, the teacher gives you an extra 10% on your grade, right? So I was sitting at an 89%, and I read one book. It was too short. And then I read It, which was around 1,000 pages. So I read one book to get the whole thing done in one book. And then I got to like the 99% for that grade. And, that encouragement for reading, and that idea that you can read something that's more than just a little kid's book, that there's something a broader world out there with stories that you can be in depth and that you can really dive your teeth into. I thought that was amazing, right? So since then I've been reading since then, and then trying my best to write stories that I could tell that way. But I found that I like writing this level for the moment, this series, because it's not as serious as an adult book, but it still has those themes that teens relate to, and that surprisingly a lot of adults relate to as well. So when I do book signings and I go to conventions, I get a lot of adults saying, "Yeah, I love this book. I love the series. When's the next one coming out?" And that surprised me because it was originally just written for teens, right? But I guess those themes resonate through your age, no matter how old you are.
Absolutely. What would you say to a young, inspiring writer who'd like to, kind of get the wheels in motion to just, follow their passion and to make a real go at this?
So if I say to people who are writing, you don't want to do it for money, because you're going to be very disappointed if you do it for money.
Like most artistic things.
Most artistic things. But if you do it because you enjoy it, then all you have to do is you just have to sit down and start writing. It doesn't really matter if it's good or not, right? Because something you think could be really bad could be really good, and something you could think that you're like, yeah, this is amazing, this is going to win me the Nobel Prize, it's really not that great. So the idea here is just to get something down, get the practice going, and not really worry about having it perfect. The other thing is that just to try to find other writers in your area that you're trying to learn from, because without that, then it's just you by yourself, and you're not really going to improve that much. But if you get someone to read your work and they can give you nice, constructive feedback, and they say, this isn't working, this is what I would do, or this is really good, then you know how to progress from there. So if someone's definitely looking to get into writing, that's what I'd recommend. Number one, doing the writing, and number two, finding other people that you can kind of coordinate with and build a community with.
Consistency is usually key. I find, we're not a very big podcast and that kind of thing, but consistency, everybody I talk to that is doing well or wants to do well is at it every day, where it's 20 minutes or 2 hours, whatever it is. So do you feel you're a consistent man when it comes to writing? Do you have an hour a day that you put aside, or this is now exactly every day I'm doing this at 5 o'clock in the morning, or is it kind of I have to do it when it fits?
So when I have a book that I know that I'm writing, and that I'm sitting down and committed to writing it, then usually I set aside that time. And whether it's in the morning or evening, I just say, okay, this is what I'm going to do for an hour or two every day. I'm going to sit down because that's the only way to get the page count up. If I'm just playing around with ideas, then I don't necessarily have a writing time. Some writers, they write consistently on clockwork every day. They're going to write this time, and they do it, and it works well for them. For me, I like to have some ideas churning around, and then I just pick one and I go with it. Whichever one kind of inspires me to make me actually sit down and do it. But I actually have a separate computer for writing, so I have one computer for work, and then I have a smaller computer that I just bring out wherever I'm going to be, and I just write on that one, and there's not very many apps on it.
Nothing to get distracted. No distractions. No Facebooks, no Instagrams, or whatever.
No, it's just the writing app, and that's it. And if I need some research, then I got a browser, but that's just sitting there for that 1 hour, 2 hour, no other distractions, just writing. And after writing for 20, 30 years, I kind of get the sense when something is working and when something's not working. So it's easier for me to get into a flow versus sitting there hammering and saying, why can't I get this, right? So for example, if I'm thinking of a scene, I'm writing through the scene, and I say, this isn't working, I just put a pause on it, and I go to another scene that I really want to write, and I write it, and then I come back.
You can almost see how it plays out, and then go back, and then kind of fill in the blanks as it is. But what do you do when you encounter a major writing block, or have you ever gone any length of time where you kind of felt yourself kind of not putting in the hours or the pages to...
But the progress is not there. That's something I find with music and something.
How would you
hard to find the progress.
Yeah, so with this fourth book that I'm working on, I started it a year and a half ago. And I wrote for the first probably third of it, and then I kind of just put it down, and I wasn't really inspired to write anything. And then I stopped writing for about 4 to 6 months because I had everything that was going on. And then I picked it up again, and I sat there just putting down the ideas and working at 1 hour at a time, 1 page at a time. So yeah, I've gone for those stretches, but a lot of people, a lot of writers, they feel, oh, I have to do this, I have to sit down, I have to do this. But for me, it doesn't work because it doesn't result in good writing. It just results in
Forcing creativity.
You can't force it.
That's right. So I just put it to the side and I said, you know what, I'm going to do some other kind of stuff. And then I came back to it and I'm ready to go and I'm going through it now. Right? And it's becoming a pretty good book. It's a lot more mature book than the first 3 ones. It has a lot more introspection. And there's still a lot of action and drama and emotion, that kind of stuff. But there's a lot of introspection on it that I've been planning for the book that I'm really thankful that I can actually put into the book.
So when it comes to like the character development, like do you take inspiration from like people around you, or is it kind of like, you know, like I know it's kind of focused on one character with these books? Is that like you know, I really kind of enjoy, you know, a Wonder Woman type of character? This is kind of what I like, or is it just this kind of just came about, like Ashley, did she just kind of come to your mind kind of thing?
Yeah, she just came to my mind through writing. She wasn't initially just sit down a page and go, right? It took a bit of development and rewriting to get the final characterization down. And so it's not, her character isn't really based on anybody specific. It's more a conglomeration of a bunch of people that I know of. There's a bit of myself in there, and there's a bit of some other people that I know. One character though that came into the book fully developed, and I didn't even expect it. I was writing a scene between Asha and her friend Lily, and then this guy named Mick came strolling along, and he sat down at their cafeteria table, and from then on he was part of the group, and I hadn't even planned it. It was just in, done, and move along, right? Fully formed, personality, and everything was ready to go. So I didn't have to do anything with that character, right? It was an interesting thing to have happen.
Fully fledged and fit the bill kind of thing. Like one of those lightning in a bottle moments or whatever.
Yeah, and then I already knew his backstory. I knew his family history. I knew everything just by him sitting down. Where the other characters, I kind of had to feel around and see what's going on. Probably because his character is a lot like me, pretty sarcastic at times, and somewhat reckless when he's doing things when he probably shouldn't be. So.
That's good. I mean, and whether you like it or not, I think a little bit of you or whoever's writing anything seeps into everything, no matter whether you like it or not, kind of thing. Like your style, people call it style, flavor, whatever, right? Like it just, everything, it leaks in, right? So where do you see, where do you see these books going? Is this going to be kind of like a long-term project, or do you have like a set number in mind or a set point to get to kind of thing?
So I have 6 books in mind. I have each book planned out in my head already. So I know the overall story for each book and the overall story for the entire series for 6 books. Hopefully it doesn't take me 10 years to write it. There's other stuff I want to do, but I want to focus on making sure I get it done, and then kind of have that as a complete story that I can either write more stories based on it or just put it to the side and do something else that I find more interesting.
You said you've wrote for TV shows or wrote a TV show. Do you plan on getting into more of that as well in the future?
Yeah, so I haven't done a lot of script writing. So basically I've been taking the first book and turning it into a TV script, and then taking that to various producers and directors and that kind of thing, and seeing if there's interest in having that be put onto streaming services or network television, that kind of thing. That's a whole different thing. You have to
imagine that's a whole different thing.
A whole different media for sure.
You have to start at the very bottom and find out how everything works and who the people are that you have to know, what the different levels are, how projects are actually picked up, how they're made, and so that's a whole new learning experience for me, right? But I'm a person who likes to learn how to do things anyways, so for me it's no problem to do that, and I have the patience and time to be able to do that.
That's the fun part, trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
The journey is more fun than the destination, generally speaking.
Absolutely.
That's how I look at it. Like I say, kind of with this as well. So the other stuff, I was going to ask you, because you do edit as well. So do you find editing other people's work and then going to your own stuff, does it make you, or does it feel like it makes you more critical of your own work, or does it make you a better? I want to say a better editor, but does it make you a better writer? I guess by kind of spend a lot of time looking at other people's stuff.
Yeah, definitely finding I edit other people's work and being able to look at their work, and I can comment on someone else's work and say this needs to change, this is working, this isn't working. But when you're doing with your own work, it's hard to have that same level of critique, the same level of criticism, that same level of...
But I like this stuff, right?
Yeah, I want to keep that, right? And so for me, it's very encouraging to be able to sit there and read someone's work. I don't tear it to shreds, right? I say this could be changed, this is working, this could be done better, right? And then I can look at my own and say, oh yeah, I recognize that from this other work. I need to change this, or this entire story structure isn't working, or this scene isn't working. And being able to do that editing is good. But when I actually come down to having the final product done, I don't do the grammar checks and the spelling checks and all that stuff myself because it's too fine-grained and I miss it.
So you're used to looking at it a little bit too. You kind of skip it. You guys just miss it. Yeah, I feel
so,
it there. Yeah.
So what I do is I hire an editor for that kind of stuff, and I pay them. And I say, make sure I don't have a comma in the wrong spot, or I didn't misspell a word or something, because it's so easy to miss
the word even. Right? You think it's there, it's not there.
Yeah. Yeah, so I try to make sure that it's. You always get mistakes in every kind of book. Doesn't matter if it's published by one of the big publishers or a small guy like me. You still got to be able to get in there and get it done, and that's one of the tricky parts. Making sure you can find a good editor to do that.
So I know you are a martial artist, correct? How would you find the martial arts mindset has helped in like the discipline of writing? Have they kind of crossed paths at all?
Yeah, with martial arts, if you want to be a good martial artist, you have to put in the daily practice. It can't just be when you go to your class, right? Some people, they just go and say, oh, yeah, I do taekwondo or kung fu or karate. That's kind of just, I go and do it once or twice a week. But if you're a serious practitioner, you practice every day. And that becomes a habit and it becomes part of your life. Same thing with writing, right? A serious writer is not going to just do it once, maybe twice, and say, well, I'm a writer. It doesn't really work that way. You have to sit down and regularly do it. Even when you don't really feel like doing it, you still have to do it. But at some point, when you become confident enough and you become skilled enough, it doesn't mean you have to sit there and force the practice and force the writing, right? You know how things are supposed to work. And so that's when that aspect comes out.
Like I said, it becomes a part of who you are. So it's almost like second nature that discipline is going to be there, and you're gonna write a few pages a day or write an hour a day or whatever it may be. So yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. But I think we'll conclude it up there. But that's excellent. Thank you, Dustin, for sitting with us and chatting.
Definitely appreciate having you on here and taking the time to talk.
Everybody, give a round of applause for Dustin.
Thank you for coming out.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you GPop for having us. And plug any social media or anybody anywhere anybody can find you on the internet, or you want them to find you at least anyway.
My website is dcarchibald.com, and I have everything linked from there, so you don't need to go anywhere else, just there.
Nice. So everybody go pick up a copy of the books. I just got mine. I haven't had a chance to really dig into them yet, but I've started the first one. So yeah, everybody pick them up. Thanks again, everybody. I hope everybody has a great day. We'll be back again at 5 for another interview. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks. That was awesome. How you doing, my friend? How has your day been so far?
Uneventful. No. It's been awesome. I mean, you wake up at 6 in the morning to realize that, the apocalypse happened last night.
It sure did. Yeah, it was quite interesting.
A little hazy out there, folks. A little hazy in here, too.
Some foggy, by?
Yeah, I feel like I've smoked 2 packs of cigarettes already, so...
Yeah, to be fair, I do have a scratchy voice, which is not typical.
The air quality is export A level. So yeah, we're here at GPop today. Thanks everyone again for coming by and swinging by. Everyone, we have Mike Moman here, comic book creator, local to Grand Prairie.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about how all this came together. Where was
I got to ask you, did the song come before the comic? And was that the inspiration?
Yeah, the song came first.
Nice.
But these 15, it was actually the first song I think that I can recall writing for a band. Oldsmobiles with Laser Guns. A little catchy pop punk song. And even my band even recorded it when I was 16, 17, I think, about that age. We did that. It was on our first self-titled little indie punk band album. And I did draw a couple panels for a maybe comic, which I still have in existence, but I've yet to show anyone those. And then as I got older, that went on the back burner, but I always wanted to. And it wasn't until more recently that I looked at this and said, hey, you can do this. Why don't you do this? And when I finally realized what I wanted to do, how I wanted to do it, it was like next day, bam, started it. Just right away, ballpoint pen onto crappy paper. I started drawing everything out, and it evolved from there and slowly got into the digital side of it. And first comic took me maybe 6 months to get done, but I learned so much from that experience. And it was that journey of realizing that you weren't happy with what you were doing. Why aren't you following your dreams? What happened to that 15-year-old kid who wrote that song? I want to be that kid still. And I was a new father as well. I want my daughter to look back and say, my dad followed his dreams, so can I.
Yeah, man. And that's what it's all about. Like, that's kind of what we're doing here. Like, this is kind of our, legacy to the world, if you will, right? But it's the thing that we want to put out there, right? So, yeah, I definitely feel that. Do you feel being a dad changed the game? You know what I mean? Like, to me, for myself, I will say, like, having a kid, like, I had a stepkid, and not to say that stepkids are bad, but it's different when it's your own. And when I had a little kid, like my own little kid, that changed it for me. And that's what made me want to get back into doing this kind of stuff. Music, it kind of, changed the game. It was like, I wanted them to see how cool this stuff is and that they can do things. And, yeah, it's a good feeling, man.
Well, Ruby, my daughter,
Yes.
She was born in the middle of exams for my second last semester of law school.
Yes, because you've done the law school, which
Yep.
I feel like plays into the funniness of the comic. That's the word I'll put there.
Well, it plays into a lot of things. So my direction, my path was finish law school, be a lawyer, do all the things.
What is your diploma or your degree or whatever?
Well, I have a degree in sociology, so Bachelor of Arts Sociology with a focus on crime and deviance.
That's the part that I found the funniest, crime and deviance part. Because it's like the comic book kind of. I think that's funny. I'll say it's an ironic.
So yeah,
thing or whatever.
it is.
So do you think you could maybe change up your comic direction and maybe play a different series, maybe in the crime kind of deviant kind of forensic kind of thing? Would you do that sort of thing?
You're almost assuming that these guys are always going to be chased by the space cops. You're assuming that the space cops are the antagonists, and that maybe there's not other fingers involved in that.
I see.
Or maybe the space cops are just a tool, or maybe it's just some space cops.
That's interesting. That's
So
very intriguing.
That's a little tidbit for the people if you're.
Oh yeah, I mean,
like that.
Just a little something to sink our teeth into there.
we're only at issue 2 right now, but I will say, Junior Officer Mitch, who's introduced in issue 1, he has a much bigger part, and he's much more than just some nepo hire that they talk about in issue 2.
Nice.
So it's much more than just science fiction, fantasy. It also has a little bit of that crime kind of.
A little more.
Base
It's
to
it's got
or-
another layer. I feel like there's another layer here that we're exposing.
well
Oh,
as-
yeah.
Even comedy as well.
So Eunice, she's another character who's just a really small part in issue 2. But you're not going to have a named character unless there's something important about that character. So Eunice, the space cop, that's just another
name.
another name that might be more important than just someone to be shot at.
Good. I like it. That's
Yeah.
good. Yeah. Because yeah, like I said, I thought the crime and deviance thing when we talked before, and then when I actually sat down and read the comic, and I kind of laughed to myself after. I was like, "That's really funny." I think this really plays into this
Yep.
in the humorous way, which is good. I think that's really funny.
But going back to what you were saying with the direction and things and how it changed as a parent, like my law degree. Yeah, I got my law degree. I was first in class in corporate law.
Heading straight down that corporate road.
I got my law degree with distinction, but it was going to be lawyer, money.
Yeah.
Then boom, got a kid, and I found out the hard way that law was going to take me away from time with my child.
Yeah.
And maybe money isn't good. What is my daughter going to value more? That daddy had a lot of money, or that daddy was there?
Yeah. Oh, 100%. No, and that's exactly how I feel about it. Right.
Yeah. So it did change, and I think without making that decision and staying on the path that I'm on right now, I don't think I would have got the opportunity to have that time to focus on my dreams and hopes for myself, and those are also going to be ones that I show to my child as well.
Yeah. No, I agree, and I feel like that's how I kind of feel about it. Like, it just it makes you feel like a kid again. That's kind of how I feel about it. Like we picked up skateboarding again, and you know what I mean, that kind of thing. So the other side of that is you were a punk rocker, if you will, or involved in that type of a scene. So like, were you involved in like the mag scene, so like DIY mag? Like, was that an interest at a young age or anything like that? DIY punk, you know what I mean? Like, everything in punk rock was DIY at one point, but believe it or not.
Yeah, no, I with a couple of friends, we did a zine called Punction Junction.
Nice, man. I love people's old zines. Like, I love zines, old zines and stuff. That's so good.
I used to do zine. And here's the funny thing. I contributed more humor. So funny articles, things that would get a laugh out of people. So the other guys, well, they were focusing on what was me, I'm religious, be religious, blah, 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 blah. Maybe I shouldn't say that. They're nice guys. They would use my stuff and my articles to promote the magazine to get other people to do.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And that's the way it kind of was. Like, everybody kind of did their own little piece to the puzzle or whatever, right? When it came to those zines and stuff, like, because like we were skateboarders and stuff growing up.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it was a very similar experience kind of thing. You know, you
said
did a Thrasher and stuff like that.
You said
Similar,
you had
right?
your input was the comedic side. Did you not at one point do a little bit of stand-up comedy?
I did for just a couple times, just to prove that I could.
Nice.
That's kind of. I think you've said the same thing.
Man, I've said it 100 times. Like, one of these days, I'm just gonna go up and try it.
Why not,
because
man?
I love it. Like, I think it's a not so much now, but it was kind of almost like a dying art form to a certain degree. But now it's kind of getting its kind of 35th breath or whatever at this segment. But yeah, like, it's something I've always been interested in. But yeah, like, is that something you'd ever like to take on again, maybe? Or
I mean, I don't
or the
know.
proof was in the pudding kind of thing.
Yeah, I think so. It was fun, and I think I got some laughs, and it was great. And I got some really close friends who are stand-up comedians who do that professionally. If my daughter wanted to do that, because she is funny. She is fun. The other day, face covered in dirt, and mom goes, "Why is your face covered in dirt?" Yeah, it's probably eating dirt. That's
The
gold.
timing.
That is golden.
Yeah, and stern faced too, of course. Like,
So
that's funny.
if she
Good.
does it, that'd be fantastic. I don't think it's going to be my path, just because the time you have to dedicate to that. But utilizing those skills of writing a good joke go into my comic.
Oh, for sure.
In fact, my editor lucked out so much that he does stand-up comedy.
Nice.
So
There you go.
he can actually rip apart my jokes and be like, the delivery would be better if you didn't suck. And I take that to heart.
If you just tried again, this would might work out for you.
Have you tried not sucking, Mike?
It would just be so much simpler.
Yeah.
Gotta love your buddies, eh?
I do not need friends with the friends that I have. Or I do not
Don't
need
need
enemies with the friends that I have.
Yeah, I got a couple of
Thank
those.
you.
They're nice guys and all, but
So, how many books are you planning on in this series of releasing?
Until the story's done.
And you have until you have it all written.
I have
pre-planned,
it laid out. I have the issue 3 is almost done being written. I have parts of issue 4 and 5 that are already written. And I think to tell the whole story is probably going to be between 20 and 24 issues. It all depends because parts of it will evolve. So I may need to sidetrack or give more backstory, depending on how it feels out. But I think the 2024 is the sweet spot, and that's what I'm aiming for.
That's awesome.
Nice. So I have another question, a serious question this time. Why Oldsmobiles? I get the lasers. I'm good with that, but why Oldsmobiles? Out of curiosity, I think only because I owned a Cutlass Sierra as a child. Well, I didn't own it; my parents owned it. I just rode in it, but I think it's hilarious.
Same, that's it.
I just laughed when I first seen it.
But that's why the blue Oldsmobile Cutlass Sierra that my parents drove. When you're a kid, that thing is a spaceship.
Yeah, man, those cars were boats. They were just land boats.
Yeah, but when you're a kid, your parents' car is a spaceship. It can take you anywhere. And there's a certain magic, I think, in driving as a passenger as a kid, being driven around in your parents' vehicle. There's a magic that you'll never be able to recreate ever. So
yes, did you have siblings as well in the back seat?
Yeah, I had an older
picking at each other and.
Yep, always. I used to sleep on that little space on the back window.
On the back window,
yeah.
100%.
Yeah, you completely unsafe, and I'm shocked that I'm not dead. But there was that magic of driving around my parents' vehicle, which was a spaceship to me. So with the Oldsmobiles with laser guns, that was the vehicle. I want to recreate that magic for myself and for anyone that's reading this. It's this old piece of crap car, and yet it's got the power of a million suns in it.
Yeah, it's crazy. I love it. I think it's awesome.
With a power source that doesn't even exist, that's so advanced. And no, it's gonna be. It's called a paradoxal drive.
Yeah.
So the Oldsmobile is powered by paradoxes.
Yeah, it's funny, man. It's so good. It's so good.
Yeah, and then that gets revealed in I think issue 4. We're gonna be talking about that more.
Ooh, that's nice. Yeah, that's fun, man. I will say, I totally 100% laughed out loud when I was like, oh yeah, I had a Cutlass here. Like dawned on me. I was like, oh yeah, I get it now. I get it.
Yeah, I guess it would make sense too. You're kind of getting your comedic relief through. You're putting that through your comics now. You don't need to go up and stand up on a stage, like you said. You did that.
Yeah,
it worked.
Yeah,
and
I'll leave it to the professionals.
Yeah.
Just like speaking of leaving things to the professionals, let me tell you about that time I worked as a surgeon.
Can you imagine? This man shows up
not
to
a
do
good
your
day.
surgery. Holy cow! No way.
Hold my beer, kids.
Yes, sir. Just wake up.
So what, we taking out tonsils? Or are we taking out the testicles? Which one is it?
Look out.
Hey-o.
It all depends on which hole I'm going in on.
Holy. See, that's the deviance part right there. That's what I like.
I see.
So good. So good. So growing up, what were your favorite movies and stuff like that? Like, so are you like an actual like a sci-fi your thing, or is just you like this idea now? You know what I mean? You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, no. Okay, growing up, some of my favorite Star Wars was definitely that was pushed on me in grade 3 by my ginger friend David, who had me reenact Star Wars scenes with him. Yeah, well, he was ginger. He had no friends, so he had his first friend
That's
ever.
it, man.
And
You were the man.
no one in the family liked him because, again, ginger. So I always loved Star Wars. Star Trek was also a big thing. Next Generation. That was when I grew up with Captain Picard. So that was a huge influence on me with things like that. Enemy Mine, one of my all-time favorite for some classic science fiction that you may be like, what the, I'm Googling this now. What the hell is this all about?
No, I like a deep cut. Hit me with all the deep cuts.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
best.
Things that really stand out have been the science fiction, and then as I grew a little bit more, every time they incorporated comedy into sci-fi, that really I laughed.
That was
on
better.
Mom and Dad Save the Universe. Oh, sorry, Mom and Dad Save the World.
Save the World,
That was just like, ugh,
That's cool.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Everything about that was beautiful. Why weren't there more movies like that? Spaceballs. Another
Spaceballs
movie
is like one of
that
my favorite
I don't
movies.
think I could live without Spaceballs being a part of this universe. It was just so perfect.
It's too good, almost, to be fair. Like, it's better than Star Wars. And you know what I mean? Like, in that, it just, in a way, it is. Like, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
Hot
and
take.
I was raised on Police Academy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
man.
that kind of innovative comedy is, even though there were some parts about it that were not so quite, but they were a lot more open and progressive than other things. So all of those kind of things influenced me with my trajectory.
Yeah, I get like the late, kind of like a late '80s sci-fi kind of vibe, I guess, or whatever, something in that kind of a category. That's how I take it.
Gosh, that's the
So,
comic.
Yeah, it's
right
like
there.
very late. It's like late '80s sci-fi. It fits into as weird as it may sound. Like I found it fits into almost like a Aqua Teen, Hunger Force category. I don't know what to say. You know what I'm trying to say? Like what's the other show? Apocalypse or whatever? Like the Metalocalypse. That's what I'm looking for.
Metalocalypse,
Like all
okay.
of those types of.
So
it's
the
kinda-
Adult Swim.
Adult Swim. That's the words I'm looking for. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it fits into that category. I find like
Oh.
there's something very,
Definitely has that vibe.
very 200003 about it all. It's very
Yep,
cool.
into
With
my
the
adults.
humor, I find the humor is what does it.
Yeah, into my young adulthood.
Yeah.
Aqua Teen Hunger Force, hands down, friggin' loved it. And everything that those creators did outside of that was just
Yeah, like I love Metalocalypse. It's so good, so good, so good. That's so
okay.
metal.
It's a true story. When I was on the radio in, I believe it was Free FM in Grand Prairie, the George Lowe, who voiced Space Ghost Coast to Coast,
Yes.
he did our imaging for that station. So I had a whole bunch of imaging
That's
from
sick.
George Lowe. You're listening to Mike Moman on Free FM.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
That's wicked.
but I was also the imager, so I got to go through all of his outtakes and had great cuts of George that I wish I had today.
They
where
would
he
be
was
cool. They would be
so
interesting.
pissed off at his computer. I can't believe it. My computer, it sounds like a hand dryer from Russia. Listen to this thing. It's a Russian hand dryer.
I love it. I love
Yeah.
it. That's so funny.
That's
That's
great.
so funny because you also were in the audio world and the radio world and stuff like that.
Yep.
So
A lot of that.
What type of music do you vibe on outside of the classic punk rock?
Oh boy, you would laugh. I
Oh
love,
man, you could say anything. You
I
could say Britney
love.
Spears. You
We
could
can- we
say,
listen to
say
everything
whatever you
too,
want.
and-
No. I think where it's at is ABBA.
Man, there's nothing wrong with that,
Yeah.
man. I'm not gonna lie.
Chickadita. One of my favorite ABBA songs of all
Yeah,
time.
man, nothing wrong with that. I'm not going to shit on you for
The
that.
ending is
no,
incredible.
I don't know if you know what's going on right now in the world, but right now I'm following Eurovision. No, I'm not even joking. I woke up this morning to find out that my Dutch hero, who I wanted to win, just got kicked out because now they're saying it's because he threatened reporters if they ever say anything about his father,
I
who's,
see.
who's dead. But I think it has a lot to do political with Israel and how he made a comment to Israelis performer, and now everyone else, the Irish performer is threatening to drop out if Israel doesn't drop out. I think we got the same. Denmark, they stopped in the middle of their performance to say stop the war in the middle of their dress rehearsal. And then Norway, they're now not going to be releasing their scores until something is addressed from the unfairness of what they did to the Dutch.
Eurovision's gone mad.
Yeah, see, I'm
Gone
not.
mad.
I'm serious. I am following Eurovision.
That's crazy.
because, yeah,
But there's been a lot of good stuff coming out of there, technically speaking.
Oh,
There's lots of good stuff.
everything.
Yeah, there's lots of good stuff going on.
Everything. The British, I'm loving that performance that he made. It was like very, very provocative, very incredibly. And I'm just imagining all the British conservatives are rolling around so mad at that. And I'm like, ha ha ha.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
That's good. That's awesome, my friend. So, do you play games at all? I was gonna ask you that question earlier too, but I got sidetracked. But I'll get it out there. While I remember.
That's okay.
Are
What
you a
kind?
gaming kind of guy?
What kind?
I don't know, whatever.
Console game or computer.
So,
tabletops? What do you play?
Or
any
even
games?
board game even.
Oh yeah, most of them. So right now I've been, because we just finished Fallout. I started up playing Fallout 4 again. But prior to that, I was doing a lot of. I like some of the indie games, mostly on survival. So Sons of the Forest, big into that one, and Green Hell. That was an old one I didn't pick up before. So I recently grabbed that, Sons of the Forest, in a pre-release right now. Just beautiful, beautiful game out of an indie studio.
I like a lot of indie games. I liked them when they first put out the developer stuff for 360. Mm-hmm. That was fun. Yeah, I enjoyed that. But I like a lot of indie stuff.
Yeah, as your attorney, I'd advise you look into Sons of the Forest too. Sons of the Forest. It's the Forest. The second one.
Oh, yeah.
Sons of the Forest.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I see what you're Cool.
But yeah, what you get out of that visually, just beautiful.
Cool. I like that. Because I really, like, last one, because I played it again, they remixed it or whatever, was Limbo. It was really good. Black and white, 2D puzzle, platformer kind of thing. Really fun. It's been out for 10 years probably at this point, or more, 15 years even. Really good game, though, but really nice indie game. That's where it kind of started for me. I like those.
But I love tabletop as RPGs as well. So I'm a 3.5 for Dungeons and Dragons, but I will play 4. Sorry, not 3.5. Sorry, 3.5, not 4, 5. So 5th edition and 3.5, and 4 can go to Ichiroba hockey sticks. And I've been trying to get players for the Aliens RPG.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't mention that either. Aliens, the whole series. Friggin' love that one.
Nice.
But yeah, no, the Alien RPG, adding in some of the tension dice just to make you want to crap your pants.
Sounds like a good night to me.
Yeah.
Crap in your pants? My daughter would say so.
Hey.
Oh, well. There we go.
I know, like you gave me a pack of the wax packs earlier. Are you a card collector, or is it just like this would be a cool? Because it is cool, to be honest. I think it's a really slick idea.
Yes.
Yeah, I know.
Awesome promo for that's a.
Thank you.
I love those.
I like that.
Yeah. No, I'm not a card collector myself. I used to play Magic when I was younger.
Yeah.
Then I ended up selling my entire collection for a couple packs of cigarettes.
Like most of us did. To be
Yep.
fair about it, yeah.
Yeah, as soon as you were 16 and smoking was cool, and now we got apocalypse outside, we don't need to smoke Marlboros to get that Marlboro flavor.
I got a little bit today, I feel like. Just a taste.
At that age, for sure, everyone. You don't want to be associated with card collecting either when you're too cool for that. So
Yeah, there was a point where I didn't do
have
it
to
either.
sell
I
it.
fell off for a long time.
get some Export A and you're good.
Yeah, I fell off for like a long time. I jumped off twice technically, but I'm back into that again. But I collect everything. To be fair, but I have a problem.
It's
But it's a good one.
It's events like this and this podcast, I think, is what brought me back to collecting and getting back to the nostalgic roots of our childhood, and just it's great to talk to new people and stuff like that.
And I think that's a big part of what you're technically doing there, whether people like it or not. You've got some nostalgia built in there as well.
Oh, completely. No one should ever grow up. It's a trap.
No.
Well, why
it's
would you really
no
want
fun.
to, right? Like,
No.
I tried it once. I won't go back to that. I'm
Nah.
not doing that anymore.
Yeah, the taxes, bills, rent.
I'm not doing any of that.
I wish.
Yeah, it's miserable. But yeah, it's miserable. But, well, Mike, my friend, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hey, no worries.
Everybody give it up for Mike. That was
so much,
excellent.
Mike.
Thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you.
And we'll have you back again some other time. Maybe we'll do a sneaky Pete once you get a couple more books out, and we'll get you back on again. Because
that'd
I
be
really
awesome.
enjoyed it, man. I really enjoyed the books. I'm not going to lie. I read the book. I haven't read the second one yet, but I really
That's
enjoyed
awesome.
the first one.
Well, tell everyone that they should be checking it out online.
I was going
Oldsmobilescomic.com.
to say, where can they find you, Mike?
Oldsmobilescomics.com.
There you go, everybody. So check them out.
Awesome.
Again, there's been another episode of And the Year's 1985.
Can't wait to put the poster up on our backdrop.
Hi, everybody. So, welcome back again. We are here with Chris. We're going to be talking about the Battle of the Sea game today. We're here at GPop. Welcome, Chris.
Welcome to have me. Thank you very much.
No problem, my friend. We're looking forward to having you on. So far, how was your experience with GPop?
Oh, I really like it to be invited. I didn't mean second, but I really appreciate it and have a nice experience. I think I will be continue to attending to the salon.
Nice. Excellent. So, you created this game a few years ago.
Yes, well, that's a long story, I would say. What happened is the tech effort was in my head for 10 years, and about 4 or 5 years ago, I started kind of working on a chorus, doing some drafts, then some proto-promise, and just take it up to that moment what is the product ready to hear right now. It's take it almost 4 years.
Nice. Okay. So how did you come up? So we were talking earlier before we were about about you're very interested in the Caribbean and all that kind of stuff. So like, how did that all come about?
Well, I used to, as you can see, I'm not young generation. So when I used to play with the computer, we used to play with the board games. So I always loved board games from the beginning of my, let's say, young ages.
Yeah.
And so I always play board games. And I also, because I come in from Poland, that was post-communist computer, right?
Yeah.
We don't have a game, we have to make it ourselves.
Yeah.
So that's we make some games. And, you know, I have some my games in my head a long time ago, when I from my, let's say, young ages. And what happened is it was still there. And then we start going, those vacations, so stuff like that. I really like those. I'm interested with the history, especially like the Caribbean history, the pirates, the 17, the golden era pirates and stuff like that.
Chasing the gold.
Chasing the gold, the drinking rum and
Rum running and all
all
that.
the stuff. So what happened is, let's get kind of together and. I mean, I think somebody suggested in my house, so why don't you make a game? I think they got this right now, but then I start making that game, kind of drafting first on paper, figure out those processes, how I'm gonna, and slowly keep going to the process when the moment is there. We just take almost 4 years and different kind of stages to get there.
Modifying it.
Modify it, play it, make a prototypes, modify it again, play it, and then talking to different graphic designers, editors, and stuff like that.
Fonts correct, pictures correct.
Everything correct. Even the front picture of the game get designed. And every corner of the game is like pretty much designed.
That's cool, and that's very interesting. Like, I think a lot of people that listen find that very interesting, because I think that's what draws people in, especially with this. And I mean, it looks very professional and all that, but you can tell somebody put some thought into it, because like, I know you gave me a copy of it to take home and try it. So me and my son were actually playing it yesterday. I think the mechanics are very interesting. Like, that's what I think is different. Like, makes it so different to me. It's like, oh, this is a very interesting mechanic.
Because what happened when I find out, I really like it, but sometimes I don't like it throwing dice and be totally lottery stuff, right?
It's always based on
the base
six.
lottery, like a 6 you want to draft. I would like to have a little bit of experience using the brain, like a chess or something like that. So you have a little bit, have like a steps going my way, not what the dice gonna give it to me.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And that's why I was like, this is very interesting. Like, it's totally different than like any of the tabletop games I've played. Not that I'm an aficionado or anything, but I do play them and I do enjoy them. But it was a totally different mechanic, and when we were playing, I was like, oh, this is like a whole different element. There's something different, like, just feels different when you're playing it. It's very cool. I thought it was very interesting.
Yeah, well, I worked on that mechanics of the game. Sort of almost on that, just mechanics. I worked almost 1 year.
I imagine.
So we make a prototypes, and my family visit my son. We just try to do some mechanics. He said, no, that won't work. So I go to boarding, drafting again, and I figure out different way to do it. And eventually we get to the point where it was kind of playable.
Yeah, it's really interesting. What's the thing I was going to ask? So you're a retired engineer?
I'm retired.
Semi-retired engineer?
Semi-retired. No, I'm an engineer from Poland. Okay?
Yeah. So I would assume, like, being an engineer and having that type of mind frame, that very much
well, I have
helps you with doing.
Well, I think it helped me, because what happened is I even have to design the box.
Yeah.
So we just kind of box, the bottom part have to go, the top part have to go on the top of it. Have to be a little bigger. You have to make the border parts and everything. You have to be kind of designed, and it was really that helped me to draft this.
No, I imagine.
And then so that's engineering kind of helped me to do those drafting what I wanted. I'm not talking graphic, I'm talking to layout of the game in general, the hexagon and stuff like that.
How everything should fit together, how you should move.
And all those mathematics go with this, because it's a little bit involved on the beginning, make sure it's playable.
Yeah.
That's the main goal.
How many prototypes do you think you went through?
Oh, okay. Well, basically, this is going in stages. First, it looks in the mind. Then you put just sketches of paper. Then you build the very first prototype, which I really play with myself. I don't want to even show because my mind, nobody see it, nothing, but in my mind, I see it. Then I feel it's workable. Then I get some prototype. Then I probably get like a 15 or 10 prototypes before I even go to the graphic designer, tell him what I wanted. Then I worked with 2 years with a graphic designer, back and forward visiting, to make sure all those details of the game is exactly how I want it. I almost learned graphic design on the way, kind of.
Yeah, I would imagine so. Yeah, I mean, it takes a lot to do it. It's got to be scaled properly. It's got to fit the board.
It's everything,
Is the board too big? Is the board too small?
You have to fit on the table, right?
Yeah,
and you have to make sure it's movable. It's grabbable by the fingers. It's taking out from the box. And it's kind of crazy stuff coming. I don't even know in the beginning what I get into when I was into it.
It became a lot more than you thought.
Yes.
Yeah, and which is good though, but like that's kind of part of the fun of it.
Yes, it was fun, and I'm kind of proud of this. This is just right now in the plastic bundle like that, ready to sell.
Yeah, man, and it looks really, really good. Like it's really good. Like I said, we played it the other day. It was awesome. Like
Really? So you did play it?
yeah, we took it because my
So it's playable.
told it, but I played it anyway.
Okay, so no, just make sure because
Like
you
to
know.
me, it was excellent. Like and it was, like I say, it was different enough too. Like because I'm not a super tabletop person, right?
No,
like
I like
certain.
that too, but
I like certain things, right? And I did really like that. Like it was really fun. He really enjoyed it. He was like, it's really different. Again, he's kind of into it. He's into those type of things and those types of games. And he plays a lot of that kind of stuff, even on his computer. He thought it was an interesting kind of thing. It was almost. He said it reminded him of. It's not. It doesn't do anything like Risk, but it reminded him of Risk.
no, yes, because well, what I find out, I would like to do something totally unique, but on top of that, a little bit simple. So let's say that way, my manual, as you can see, it was like 8 pages. That's it.
Yeah, it's not a book like that.
No, I don't want a 75 pages book when you can.
And nobody's going to really play that.
You know, I want you to play right. You can learn on the fly. First game, you can. Kind of
you see it,
you see it play, then maybe second game you can really kind of used to do it
Yeah,
what you do it.
we played, I don't know, 3 games maybe or something like that. 3 or 4
Really?
games.
Okay, I'm really impressed.
And it was really like it's smooth. Like, it was pretty smooth. Like once you kind of, you know, it's like every game. The first couple times you played, you kind of what was that?
You have to
What's this,
figure
that?
out the details because then you have to back and
But it was
forth.
fairly smooth. Like it wasn't any worse than anything else I've heard. I'll put it that way. And any kind of regard in terms of like learning the rules and like paying attention to it, it was excellent. Like I thought it was
Because
awesome.
you know the rules was absolutely different. There was the almost more than half of the games. You know, put the rules together
And it's fairly once you like realize what kind of equate it together.
what I have in mind. Let's say so they try to put what I have in mind on the paper as easy as possible so you can understand what I have in mind with that
And I
mechanic.
think you did a good job, and especially for your own, it'd be different with a team of people. You know what I mean? You could get a lot further with a lot less time, or whatever. But no, man, for the amount of time, effort, like it's excellent. I will. That was awesome. I'd like to say the mechanics is what really. Yeah, it was really cool, man. I really appreciate it. Like I said, I'm not a superstar in any of this. I thought it was excellent.
Thank you very much. You should tell us my wife so she can allow me to do the second
Then
game.
you get a second one going. But no, that's excellent. Chris, so is there anywhere that anybody can contact you?
Well, you can call me is on the Facebook.
Facebook, yeah. So you got
I have on Facebook web page also, and also you can buy on Kijiji, and it's gonna be available on Amazon. It's gonna be very soon available on Amazon.
Nice, perfect. So everybody look for Battle of the Seas on Amazon.
Yes.
That'll be the easiest one.
Yes, and a company called CJAJ Enterprise, and you can Google there or just Google the game, and just probably pop up over there.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I noticed that too. So that's good. Well, thank you, Chris, very much, man. I really
Thank you
appreciate
very
it.
much.
And I really appreciate you letting me to sit down and play your game and stuff. That was excellent. Thank you very much. Thank you much, everybody, for tuning in and watching. And we'll catch you next time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, man.
Thank you very much.
All right, everybody, we are back.
Back again, folks, and the year was 1985.
Here we are. So we are back again with another special guest this evening. This is going to be the intro to our, or the finale to our GPop festivities.
Yep. Conclusion here. We're going to wrap it all up.
Yeah, this will wrap it up for everybody
it all
tonight. So, so we've got Blaine here, the host, the man himself of GPop. So welcome in, my friend.
G-Man.
The G-Man himself. Welcome in, my friend. How you doing today?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Good, man. Good.
Good. Thanks for being on the podcast. We appreciate your time.
Yeah, semi-short notice too, kind of thing. So, but yeah, no, we
That's all
appreciate
right.
it, man. Really appreciate
This
it.
is my first guest appearance, so I am a little excited at the same time. So
Oh yeah, man, it's all in good fun. Like I say, we're not out here to do anything too serious, so I wouldn't get too caught up in that part.
No.
No.
Serious is not our game here. We're all about fun and
It's a bit of fun, man. It's
little
all a bit of fun.
nostalgic throwback and stuff like that. So you are the creator of the GPop Culture Fair in Grand Prairie, and it's third year. Is that right?
yeah, it's not our third year, but it's our third event. So it's our third event in a year and a half.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we're trying to do it biannually.
that's a good. I think that's a great.
Yeah, I think that's a gooder. I think, and it keeps people interested. It's not too much because there are other stuff going on or whatever. But
And it keeps people engaged, right? I mean,
Yeah, for sure.
People remember, and it's something that people can rely on, and it's consistent.
yeah, that's how I feel. So, as the creator and the connoisseur of all things pop culture here in Grand Prairie,
Bold stick.
bold statement,
Bold
bold
statement,
statement. But
maybe.
that's okay. But
Maybe.
somebody got to be making bold statements, right? So as we partook in the festivities this time around. I know I was at the first one. I missed the second one. You were at the second one, I believe.
Yep.
And now, of course, we partook. My perspective, excellent, man. Excellent, really cool event. Something that not everybody offers. It's not necessarily a card show. It's not necessarily an antique show, which
Yeah,
that tickles my
Little
fancy.
a little something different and unique. I think just trying to stay a little bit weird and out of the box all the time.
Yeah,
Ever evolve.
yeah, and a very good, very eclectic group of vendors. I think that's kind of what I like about it.
Gives everyone a creative outlet, right? In
Yes.
every aspect of media, from what we're doing here to people who create like different artworks or different crafts and things like that, to every sort of collector and stuff like that, right? So it's kind of something for everyone. And like, a little bit more about you. How did you what are you into collecting wise, and like what because you must have some of that kind of in your background as well to kind of want to get this going.
Yeah, I am. I'm a pop culture fan, and I've kind of always been. I'm an older guy, and I worked at a record store since I was a young kid. So I've just always been, I think, surrounded by pop culture. And I grew up in the '80s. I was in the '80s in high school, so I was around for the Much Music and the Much Music VJ stuff. And that's what I want to be then. When I was,
Oh yeah.
I can. They had a you could try out to be a VJ in Much Music. I don't know if you guys were around back then or not.
Oh yeah,
I don't know if they've done it multiple times, but I do remember some sort of.
Well, that's how Rick the Temp
capacity.
got on. Like that was
Oh,
Rick.
yeah.
That was Rick,
He
that's
was
how
the
Rick
temp.
the Temp.
Yes, okay.
Right?
Yep.
Because they used to do so I think originally it was the Temp contest or whatever, like, and then they turned it into VJ Search or whatever. Because remember they would have like a panel that they'd have like every reality show in the late '90s, early 2000s. They would have 10 contestants in a panel, and they would have to do challenges and shit like that or whatever.
Yeah.
So I never did that. I never did anything like that.
So I didn't even do that.
I'm the kind of kid that I would have done something like that, though,
Yeah.
and I think I would have did well with it. So, but instead, I got another job and a career, and I just wasn't getting love from it. I wasn't getting the joy, so I had to find a creative outlet, I guess. And you were saying, like, what do I collect? I like comics, and I've always been a comic collector since I was a little kid, and have had collections and sold collections throughout my life. And anyway, just had it for a while. And here's the origin story, I guess. I was at another toy show, and I was trying to sell some comics, and it was a busy show, but it was a lot of agricultural toys. And I just I wanted to make an event that I wanted to make. I wanted an event for people like me that were didn't have to invest a lot of capital to show off your talents, I guess, or your wares, and
Yeah.
and I didn't sell any comics at the toy show. So I said, I got to build a show that I can sell comics, and there's other people in the community that do like the kind of stuff that I like. So that's kind of the story about it. I think I just wanted that kind of positive thing, that positive outlet, and here we are. It's event number 3, and I think it's the best event yet, as far as attendance went and variety went, and yeah, it was pretty fun. I really wanted to capture that old school feeling too, of something like a 1980s sort of convention, and the building that we have it in, that Decoy Armory. This is a 5,000 square foot building, and was built for basic training for the war. That whole building, the floor and everything, was built by hand. Wow, what a great atmosphere!
It is,
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that open space, like, it reminds me, like going to car shows with my dad and car shows, and even, you'd have your community yard sale kind of a thing or whatever, like, it's all very similar. Like, it reminded me of that. It was a little bit more, I wouldn't say necessarily low key, but it was a bit more reasonable. Like, there's other stuff that, the cost of entry even is a little steep for certain people, right? So, it to have something that's, to me, family oriented, and collector oriented, not just, one specific thing, and it had a little bit of something for everybody. It had art, it had die cast, it had cards, what I mean? It had a little bit of everything. So it was really nice to see that. And like I say, from our side, or at least from my side of the table, I think it went off very well.
Yeah.
And I think they, like I say, same thing, like very successful, especially for third time out, like excellent.
Yeah,
excellent.
I keep getting confused because I think I say third year, but I have been to the 3 events.
Yeah.
First being, I think it was at Elks Hall, was it not?
The first one was the Elks Hall, smaller venue, but stage.
Yeah, very like a smaller venue, and then the next year at the Decoy, and then to see it now, and it's after the third event, it's definitely, and now being a part of it as well, to be fortunate enough to kind of get our name out there. So we appreciate you kind of getting us on board for that. It's something that was definitely outside of my comfort zone to think of. So it's something that we can all grow from. I know I'll personally remember that. So thanks. So, and
nice.
It's I can't wait to see where it goes from here. Yeah, it's awesome.
It's the main goal. It's the big goal of GPop, is promoting, it's building community and the talent here, and not just Grand Prairie, but in the region. And I think that's where we found our niche, is that we're independent and alternative. We're not trying to be A-list, man. Don't want to be A-list. I think I'm happy being between the B and C list, and that local talent pool we got is amazing. Like, every event I get connected to more people, that makes me excited to have the next one, Just talking to you guys and finding out there's more podcasters in the community, and I've met other artists and other creators, and we got people like Mike Moman, man, he's got 20 comic book issues in him, and he's on number 2, and he's doing it all on his own. He's inking the sucker, he's getting it printed, he's writing it. It's all in his head, man, and he's an amazing talent. And I think being able to, I don't know, promoting that stuff makes me feel good. So the more I can, do what makes you feel good, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that too.
It's organic too. I feel that it's organic. It's coming from a place of, something that everyone loves, right? So Mike is a passionate guy about his comic book project, and you can see that it comes through, right? So it's great that he has a place to express that and put that out there so people can see it and people buy it and stuff. And I bought the comics and stuff, and they're awesome. And I have the poster up on the wall here. Like, it's great to be able to feature some of that and, push some of that local talent as well.
Yeah.
And a ton of work to put that stuff out,
Oh, buddy.
I can't imagine.
No, really. I mean, that's not even in my wheelhouse, that kind of stuff. Like, and I don't, I can imagine it's just a lot of work.
So many steps involved there.
I mean, especially if you're, it's different if you got writers and you're just drawing it, or, you're just doing color. But if you're doing the whole 9, it's like,
well, it's a whole team of people behind.
Oh, for
comics,
sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
and I mean, it kind of relates to this in a way. I guess we kind of do it ourselves, but I don't feel like it's as much work, or it doesn't feel that way. I guess I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm familiar, but
definitely doesn't feel like much work coming from this end over here.
Well, you do the hard part. You do all the media, right? Which is even that's hard on its own. Like and that's another entity of the whole business now. Like you can't just be good at drawing or whatever your deal is. Like you got to be good at marketing. You got to be good at social media. You got to know how to talk in front of people and to the crowd kind of thing through your phone.
Yeah, I've kind of
especially
liked it though.
Yeah.
Especially if you're the self-published guy or the indie guy, right?
Yeah, man.
And a guy like that that's cutting it and trying to make it, he deserves to be celebrated. So
yeah, man,
for sure.
And it's good to see local guys get love, right? Like, because that's something I think people miss. I think, and especially as like a person who was into music and a couple other things, like being local sometimes is hard and it sucks because. But for some reason, people are more than willing to go out of their way to support people they don't have a clue who they are. They're from wherever. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, like nobody would be successful if not for that. But there's something that always gets missed to a certain degree with local talent, and it's beautiful when people get to highlight it, and it's beautiful when people get to see it and enjoy it, and people are genuinely interested and genuinely into it. Which I think is, like I say, that kind of. I think your culture fair ties that very well, like that aspect into it very well.
Yeah, I think being able to put that community together and man, there's so much out there, and being able to put all of that together for people to experience, to have that, I don't know, for me, it's selfish, I guess. I want to have that nostalgic feel. I want to recapture, the flea market of myself, and I'm 14 years old, and I'm looking through, there's a comic guy there, and I'm there every week, and I'm seeing the same selection of comics, but I'm still buying something.
Yeah, there's always another one there to buy.
Well, that's the thing.
Yeah.
That's the feeling you get when you go to these things, right? It's that nostalgic kind of warm feeling. Yeah. It's like when you see the vintage toys on this, particular table, and you're like, oh my God, I remember this from such a time. Or you go over and you see a video game or a hockey card that you wanted that you remember you could have had when you were 12, but you missed your opportunity on getting it.
Got lost since you were a kid or something.
Right. You know what I mean? Like it's just, it's definitely, it does give you a warm feeling. So I'm happy. I can't wait to, like I said, I can't say it enough, but I can't wait to
do it again.
Yeah.
So from your side of the table now, Blaine, like, you were obviously trying, you're doing your vendor thing, but you're also, putting off hosting it and all this stuff. So from your perspective, I know you said in the intro, it was probably the best turnout, the best year so far, or the best event so far. Tell us a little bit about this year, because this is your second time around. So like it was November, and now, we're back at it again. So let us know, like, what's your thoughts on it? What's the future of GPop here?
I think, there's lots of places for GPop to go, and I mean places like geographically. Like I think we can take GPop on the road and take it to some of these smaller communities, because there's collectors out there too, and there's our people out there too. Obviously, I mean, we're attracting some of them even from outside Grand Prairie at the Grand Prairie event. But I mean, I want to take GPop to some of these smaller rural towns, and I don't know, have that same nostalgic feeling there. I think.
Yeah.
And I think I just want to keep evolving too. I want to try and keep it biannual. I like to have another event. We have a tentative date now for the first week. The second or third week of October. So,
is that an inside exclusive scoop here?
Yes,
little pod scoop.
What? I wasn't planning on that. This could go viral.
Oh no! Well,
that's all right.
We could keep it under wraps. You gotta make sure you gotta watch.
You gotta listen to the whole podcast.
You gotta watch and listen. And
I'm putting that part at the end.
Yeah. So anyway, I don't want to get my set like too high. I'm not trying to build anything monumentous. I want to keep it at a certain level, and I want to, like I said, keep it at that community level. But again, every event that we make, I meet more people that I know that I can put off another event and keep that variety going and keep it interesting to a variety of ages. I say from like 19 to 50 would enjoy the event. And it's not like it's a big thing. It's a nice laid back event. It's lots of interactive stuff to do. It's in an old building, so it's not all, it doesn't have to look dressed up or dressy. It's it's, you know, the fun interactive stuff, the game board playing, you know, you can sign up for game board playing. There was I don't know, get your picture with Spider-Man
Yeah.
at the
Get some balls and Wii.
Yeah, they had the retro
Tetris, bit
games
of Tetris going on.
set up there for the Nintendo, and
And there was lots of, like I said, tons of cool vendors, lots of different stuff. Really interesting, man. Like I say, and no, I'm excited for you, man. Like I say, and it was really nice to take part in it. And it's something that I haven't really done much public speaking in a while, but I mean, it was nice to get up in front of some people and say hello, kind of thing. And yeah, it was nice, man. It was
I
really
think it was
cool.
good exposure for us as well. So
And I think it's only
we're
up.
appreciative.
Right? I think it's only up, just like everything. Right, the more you put it in, the more you'll get back, right?
Yeah.
But I
Yeah,
think it's going
yeah.
good. Yeah. No. What was I going to?
So you guys, Ryan, you, between the three of you, I got a question for you too. Like, what was your like, for me, I like the one in November the best. Like, if I pulled off the event in November, and it was probably it was the least attended event, but it was my favorite event, I think, because of the lineup I had then, and that's when I had first met Mike and got Dustin involved, and I really had somebody to have at an event other than just more of a pop culture market, right? And
Yeah.
that was the big one. And then Shane Connery Volk from Mad Cave Comics was the icing on top.
That was absolutely incredible. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was
that-
on holidays, but I wish I was there.
That was a huge get, and I definitely I love that one. Like, but I think obviously the third one holds close to me. But
Yeah.
I'm gonna throw it back to you. Even like, what goes into the planning with that, and how does all that come together? How did you bring that all together?
Some of it is the stars aligning, you know, people in the right place at the right time. For instance, One Bad Sun was in Grand Prairie the same weekend that GPop was happening. And, you know, for folks out there that don't know One Bad Sun, they're an awesome Canadian rock group, and you know, tons of hits. You know, just Retribution Blues is one that comes to mind right away. But anyway, lead singer is also premier artist for Mad Cave Publishing, based out of Los Angeles, California, and his comic has gone to 5 prints. It's gone 5 prints, and it's huge.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's sick.
that's awesome.
And it is a really cool comic. Like, the art's really cool. It's really cool. Yeah, I will say that.
We'll call him Nottingham. Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, that's interesting. That's I had a question.
for me,
So I had a question now, blanked again. Like, I had the question again and came back again.
Sorry.
So running into October now.
Yep.
Are you foreseeing trying to get some more special guests on board, kind of thing? Like, well, you know what I mean? Like guest speakers, or like a Dustin or a Mike kind of thing.
Absolutely. I definitely need to get some of the old band back together, because they're important. But to ever reach out and find some new folks, for sure. And I found some of that at the last event there. I found a gentleman who, another really good artist, that takes DC superheroes, Marvel superheroes, and paints them in almost a bit of a golden age sort of format, and losing to a monster battle.
Oh, sick.
And he's
That was pretty.
pictures after pictures. Yeah, and how different.
Yeah,
right?
that's pretty
So,
sick, actually.
Yeah, and this guy's from DC and now lives in Grand Prairie, and anyway, I think that guy's, and he's like just normal Joe guy, but he's got some wicked talent to promote. So
Nice.
stuff like that, I think, and I really want to promote the sport of disc golf. I think disc golf is, the fastest growing sport in the world, and it's something I really love to play, and it's it's a great sport. We got three courses in Grand Prairie, and people should be taking advantage of the sport of disc golf.
That's right. It's something I don't think people utilize enough. I think that there's an actual professional disc golf player in the city of Grand Prairie, and to have the opportunity to maybe learn some thing or two. You know what I mean? Like, I've played disc golf a couple times, and I absolutely loved it. I went out and bought. I got on Amazon and ordered a couple discs right away, right? So it's a super fun activity, and you can just go for a walk and do it. So
Yeah.
that's great that you had him involved with that as well.
Yeah, and I don't know. I don't know what I got planned for October. So things tend to fall in place as time goes on. I think I try not to piece too much back. I think that, you know, having some big balls sometimes, and reaching out and asking the question when, you know, you're scared to ask the question, and sometimes it just, you know, like I said, the stars align and things work out. And when you have those moments, it's really fun. Like the Shane Connery Volk moment, you know, to reach out to One Bad Son and see if they would show up, and him, you know, he didn't ask for any money or nothing like that.
Nice.
You know, and yeah, and he's a professional artist, works for a company, and probably could have demanded some sort of stipend. And no, he didn't, man. He hung out to mute his fans that probably couldn't get into the club to see him.
Yeah, that's
because
true.
it was sold out, right? And
He
couldn't get a ticket, so a lot of people came and visited and saw him there.
Yeah. And kudos to him. I mean, even just to, you know, even if it was monetary, like kudos to him for showing up, kind of thing, right? And shooting the shit with people and hanging out, and you know that, you know, not everybody's willing to do that kind of stuff, regardless of how small or how big they are. Like that's a whole different thing. But yeah, man, if you don't ask, you never know. That's one thing that we're starting to find out.
Yeah.
Is if you don't ask, nobody will ever say yes, right? And I mean, worst case, somebody says no, and that's cool too. You just move on. Thank you for your time. Have a great day. Yeah,
That's right.
But things tend to fall in place. I feel
you
same thing, right? They tend to fall in place when they should. The right moment comes up or whatever, right?
Exactly. Sometimes
I think another. I'm thinking back now too, obviously, but Denny Sound Lounge was pretty sweet. There, we had a high school kid there that was playing some electronica music, and I don't even know if people realized he's there playing music. You know, it just had that comfortable feeling with some music in the background, and it's almost like, you know, when you're somewhere and the tunes are good and it feels good, but you don't know what you don't know what it's not a soundtrack. It's this guy, right? And it's original. It's his original stuff that this guy has written, right? And so again, another local commodity, you know, music commodity. I don't know how I would classify his music, kind of electronica, I guess, sort of chill music.
What's his name again? Sorry.
Denny's Sound Lounge is how I found him. Denny's Sound Lounge.
Okay, right. I don't know Danny's last name. That's the funny part about this community of people.
I can't remember now. The sign was sitting right in front of me the whole day, but I can't remember what it is now either, to be honest with you. But I remember it was always just Denny's Sound Lounge stuck to my brain, and I can't get it out.
Yeah. And he built the Sound Lounge. Danny showed up with the Sound Lounge.
He was giving her, man. They were, and I mean that made it, you know, technically a little more cozier for us in some ways and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean it worked out really good. Like I say, it was an excellent event. I think it went off very well, and like I say, from both, you know, from a kind of a perspective or as someone partaking and as someone looking around, kind of thing. Like I think it went really smooth. Seemed like lots of people around. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. I don't. Success to me is people showing up, kind of thing. I don't know what it looks like to anybody else necessarily, but that's really what it's all about, is people coming through the door, kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's fun to be part of the underground swell that's happening. That's how I feel like.
And I think this kind of stuff is a bit more, as much as like all this kind of, you know, 90s stuff has been kind of at the foreground for a while. I think it's really starting to take a real big peak now. Like you're starting to see that really come to the forefront of all culture. Like there's more TV shows kind of based in, you know, 80s, 90s. You're getting a lot of fashion that is very 80s, 90s influenced. You know, the movies that are coming out are a lot more based in that time frame. So you're going to see a little bit more action in that regard. And I think you're going to see, which I mean is true through, you know, you see, you know, cassette tape sales going through the roof. You see vintage, you know, weird vintage cards like that are offbeat, that aren't sports cards. You know, a lot of people searching for Marvel stuff and kind of weird one-off stuff that Image did in the 90s. So I think the 90s stuff is starting to really take off, and I think it's becoming similar to what the 60s were to us, I guess, when we were, you know, coming up. 60s, 70s were kind of coming back around, right? So I think it's doing that, and I think it'll be a good segue into the next couple of years of what, you know, what's hip, if you will, with the kids, right? So, but no, it's a cool event. I mean, like I said, I was proud to be part of it. To be honest, it was excellent.
Glad, man. I'm glad you guys showing up, and I'm glad that I had these other folks around me too that I had around me. And again, I think trying to showcase these folks is gives me the good vibes. So, and that's just the plain reason why I want to do this. It's just it's fun.
Yeah, no, and it shows. You can tell it comes from a good place, for sure, for sure. Well, Blade, my friend, we'll end it on a nice, happy note there. So, everybody, thank you for coming to GPop. Thank you for coming to visit the table. So, thanks for coming to the old boutique there, hanging out. Thanks for coming to listen to us talk. Thanks for coming to listen to the podcast.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Thanks for the opportunity, Blaine, and thank you for asking us to be a part of it. That was cool.
Yeah, it was really cool to have you guys. I'm glad you came out, and stay tuned because we'll be back.
Yeah.
Yeah, October's coming. Everybody look out.
A spooky season too.
Spooky season 2, so you never know. You might get double dipped.
Oh,
Who knows?
Oh, yeah.
All right, my friend. Well, thank you very much, Blaine, for being on, and thank you again for having us at your event. And we definitely look forward to October and see what that brings.
Awesome. It was a blast, man. Thanks.
All right, my friend. Cheers. Thank you very much.
Take care. Thanks.
Okay, take care. Okay, ciao.